All right, I'm calling this special meeting of Cleveland Heights City Council to order. It's June 25th at 4:38. Addie, would you call the roll?
Posh.
Here.
Larson.
Here.
Petrus.
Here.
Maddox. Kuda.
Here.
Russell. Cobb.
Here.
All right, so we do have a quorum. Certainly the members that are not here are excused because this is a special meeting just called yesterday. We have one piece of legislation, and Addie, if you'd like to read it, we're ready to hear it.
I have ordinance number 134-2025 on first reading, an ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor to execute an engagement letter with Singerman, Mills, Desberg, and Kantz, and Stephen L. Byron to serve as independent legal counsel for City Council, and declaring the necessity that this legislation become immediately effective as an emergency measure, introduced by Councilmember Posh.
All right, do we have a motion? And do we have a second?
Second.
We have 2 seconds, that's even better. Any discussion? Councilman Posh?
Would anyone like to co-sponsor this legislation with me?
Sure.
I would be glad to.
I guess I see everyone's hands are up, yeah.
It's a unanimous.
Would you like to say anything about the legislation?
Yeah, I actually prepared a statement. This legislation lets council move forward with the hiring of its own legal counsel, specifically Steve Byron from Singerman, Mills, Desberg, and Krantz. This action is necessary because our city law department has become increasingly conflicted when representing counsel. We've seen multiple instances where the city's law department was legally conflicted, most recently with the no confidence legislation council passed in regards to Khalil Sarin. The lawyer, Mr. Byron, and his firm come to us highly recommended. They have experience and represented local municipalities. Mr. Byron serves or has recently served as the law director for the city of Pepper Pike, the village of Wade Hill, the village of Hunting Valley, and Orange Village, and has served each of those communities for at least 10 years. Further, Mr. Byron has served as the law director for the village of Chagrin Falls, as the solicitor of the village of Lakeline and the village of North Perry. I would prefer that we didn't have the need for this hire, but every lawyer I know has confirmed that this action is absolutely necessary. I also want to make clear I have confidence in our law department and Bill Hanna, our law director. This action, again, is necessary because of the conflict that exists between our city administration and city council. I foresee council still mainly relying on our law department for its needed legal work. This work being performed by Steve Byron and his firm will be as needed and at the direction of our council president.
All right, well, thank you, Councilman. Any other comments or, go ahead. Councilman Larson.
I was just curious if there's any cap on the number of hours that we could use, or if we can keep a tab on it as we look at our budget and make sure that we don't go over budget if we need to use quite a few hours.
I think the way that this is working is really on an as-needed basis.
Yeah.
So we will know for each individual engagement what it's going to cost, what the length of services hours. I hate to put this on you, President,
No, I'm fine.
but I mean, this is all, in my opinion, running through you or at your direction, maybe through a committee.
And what I can do is have Addie send you all the information where we're at some regularly, given time so that we can keep up with the expenditure.
Mr. President, if I
Yes.
might. And I think that the charter clearly contemplates somebody hired in this, engaged in this capacity for these services to sort of be supervised and deal with the council president on an ongoing basis. And Steve Byron included a certificate of available funds in the amount of $25,000. And he also specified the rates. His rate is $350. So that gives you some idea of sort of what's currently being authorized.
Okay.
Very good.
And I'm hearing you say that any requests to Mr. Byron would come through the council president, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then I'm looking for the scope of work. I see in the legislation, we talk about the scope of engagement being work on including the drafting of legislation and legal memoranda as a conflicts exist or may exist with other municipal officials in the city. Is there an instance where you see that maybe an individual council person would need representation?
I can't see that. Did you
No,
contemplate that?
Not in this engagement.
Okay, thank you. That's all I needed, thanks.
Any other comments or questions? I'll say a couple of things. One is, thank you to Councilman Cobb. 3+ years ago, when we were helping the transition happen between the city manager form of government and this form of government, I brought forth an amendment to the charter that would have the council clerk working for us. When we took office in 2022, the clerk of council worked for the mayor. Made no sense even with the other form of government, but nonetheless, I remember Councilman Cobb, I don't know if you remember this, but you added the second paragraph, which actually allowed council to make hires as needed. And that's one of the reasons we're here. I don't think anybody could have anticipated some of the things that have gone on, especially the last 6 months, but they have created a lot of conflicts. And I do want to echo what you said about our law department and specifically about Bill Hanna as the director doing a fantastic job. And I appreciate that you're telling us where your line is and what we need to do so we don't create and put you in a position to have a conflict of interest. And that's what this is. Nobody wants to spend this money. But this is something that's a slam dunk, absolutely necessary. We couldn't even pass legislation to limit key card access to employees only without having a conflict of interest. Something that simple, something that, obvious. We could not do that because in a section of that legislation, there would have to be a penalty phase. And if the mayor was the person violating that penalty, that would put the law director, and this is a simple example. There are, many others that have more complicated. So I'm glad we're doing this. I'm sorry we have to do it. But if there are no other comments, we're ready to vote. Why don't you do a roll call?
Cobb.
Aye.
Kuda.
Aye.
Petrus.
Aye.
Larson.
Aye.
Bosch.
Yes.
There is no further business before this council. This meeting is adjourned at 4:46.